Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45.
My name is TJ with Two Wheels and Coffee.
What's going on, man?
We're just trying to get on air. Just dealing with a lot of technology, huh?
Yeah,
We'll get
listen,
it down, Pat.
listen, man. Technology is ridiculous. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But we got to deal with it. It is what it is. Uh, I guess we should. As much as I do the show and stuff, I don't like talking about myself, but I do got to talk about Daytona before we get into MotoGP and what's going on with the likes of
Well,
some of these artists. I mean, the artists,
well,
writers.
we the last show we left off on you taking your trip to Daytona, so you was preparing for it. So what a better way to start it off?
Right. Um, yeah, man. So it was a good time. It's nice that I can get to Daytona under under 4 hours. You know what I mean? I'm definitely excited about that. It's something
How,
that was not always easy. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
So, it's
opposed to how much it used to take you?
well, God, like 25 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Whew.
Realistically,
And it used to do it though. It used to do it. It used to go. Well, I don't know how many times you went, but I think you went a couple times. So you used to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
make
yeah.
the trip happen. So
Like, this is my fifth time, I believe, if I had to guess. It might be my fourth time. Um, and so it is nicer to just be able to just get out there and get to the track quick, man. It's one thing about the Northeast, living up that side. The closest track is Loudon, which is awesome because it's right around the corner
yeah,
for us. But if we want to go anywhere else, it's 6 hours plus to
yeah.
Jersey, and then the numbers just keep adding up, adding up, adding up after that. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you can forget something to go back home.
Exactly.
Come back.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And you can't do that with you can't do that going down further than Jersey. It gets really complicated. So it's nicer to be down this side, for sure. I have access to a lot more tracks. So shorter distance. I mean, West Coast is still going to take about the same time, regardless if it's Boston or down in Florida. So that side, it is what it is. I will say, you know, I didn't have a lot going into this weekend, thinking about anything. It was one of the most calmest weekends I had. Granted, I banged my knee up, so I was limping a little bit. But it was one of the nicest weekends I had. And, you know, I was trying to fight for a couple of regional titles, but I wasn't quite sure because you never know what's going to happen. My bike wasn't running the way I'd like it to run around before and stuff like that. But practice was good. Even though I was limping and I was in pain on race day, once even right pitting out, I was like, how am I gonna shift? How am I gonna move? But once I did the warm up lap, like I felt you know what it is. Adrenaline starts working,
Oh
and
yeah.
and the pain. I also did take some painkillers, and the pain went away. And the start of the race was a little confusing and stuff like that. But I had a really good start. You know, I was, I wouldn't say I got the whole shot, but I was first place in the expert race. But I did have some amateurs. Shout out to Moto Sash. Sasha, who's a fan of the show, watches all the episodes, and it was nice to battle against him. I forget the other kid's name, young kid, Motor America Cup kid. So
Medina.
no. He's on RS 660 now. He's
Okay.
not even messing with the lightweight bikes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I saw
But
his name up on the board. So
yeah. No, this is another young kid. His dad used to race, and he's put it next to us and stuff like that. And I got the video, so I'll put the video up. So it was the three of us. Had a good start, passed them in the first, in the first, probably the start of the second lap and stuff, and then they passed me. My rear tire, I had some movement on my rear tire. They were able to, put a gap. By the end of the race, I was able to reel them back in and stuff like that. And so it was a good battle all around. The second race I did also, I mean, that was more. I was I was a little bit more quiet because they were consolidating the day, and it was the last race of the day, and so the 300 bikes were pitted with the lightweight bikes. I had a good start again, and I was really just trying to reel in the SVs and the lightweight bike. So it was chasing that, but I finished first place in both my races.
There we go.
It's
So,
one of the things that it's kind of weird, right? Because I don't think I've ever gotten a first place as an amateur. I think the best I've got as an amateur is second place. You know what I'm saying? And I've been able to get six first places this year. Two national titles, three regional titles, and two second place regional titles. So it's one of those years where I'm over the moon because I didn't expect it. And
no, congratulations.
thanks, man. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to next season already. And I got down to like a 2:24 on the KTM at Daytona. I was looking at the 400 times, so I'm about 10 seconds off those guys on a 400. So and I felt like I probably still had like another 5 or 6 seconds that I probably could have shaved off the bike, because braking is
Hmm.
still killing me. Braking is still killing me, and so I feel like next year I'm probably gonna run with some 400s on the KTM, and just run the 400 races and see where I can get, because the bike ran well at
Bike's doing well, seems like.
huh.
I'm saying the bike's tuned well. It seems like everything, is there. You got all the gearing and stuff. So
Yeah,
I think you're okay.
everything felt right. So it was a good weekend, and it's good to come away with this. It's not something I expected. Like I said, with the move, with everything. But I'll take it, man.
Yeah, I have a couple questions though, but you kind of answered the first one. I was gonna say, going into your weekend, when obviously you knew what was at stake with your points and stuff like that, but since it was the last round of the season, did you have like any thoughts like what you was gonna put out on the table? And then how did the draft feel, um, being at Daytona on a nice dry day?
Um, you know, I I think looking at the grid, I felt pretty good because the people that were close to me in points didn't come, which is not always the way you want to win a race. But you know what I'm saying? They didn't show up, so regardless of where I finished, I figured I would have walked away with something. But then it's like it's like you never know when what you think could possibly happen is different when the lights go out.
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And usually you surprise yourself. Usually when you think you're gonna run bad, you usually run better. And I guess when you think you're gonna run good, you probably sometimes you run worse.
Adrenaline's a great thing. Because yeah, when you feel that way, yeah, I see what you mean. Like my last round, it's third in my points, and they line you up by points, and I forgot to pre-register because how busy I was, and
Right.
I was at the back of the grid, and when the lights went out, I ended up going into the corner, I think third or fourth, and I was ahead of who I needed to be, but then I got jammed up in a few corners and it didn't work out. But thinking of what you said, you do better than you think you would. So
Yeah, so so yeah, and it was great to see some folks. Shout out to Sam as well, one of the Nemar guys. He came down to Daytona for the first time. Also another fan of the
right,
show. Shout out to Bam Bam, came down as well on his Triumph, and again, like it's just one of these
I,
tracks that it should be on any rider's bucket list.
yeah,
Because
I
it's
love to see how we travel too.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
definitely.
but,
Loudon. We travel, so there's no
but yeah,
there's no question
I was
there.
gonna say definitely should be on a bucket list.
Yeah, no. That like that's one of the tracks that you have some European guys that came over, and they don't have a track like Loudon in Europe. It's just it's not a track, not Loudon, Daytona. It's not a track like that in Europe. So it is something to be very impressed about. So overall, good weekend. Good to have some bragging rights for next season. Don't know what's going to happen yet with scheduling and all that fun stuff. So I think like all of I think Neymar's schedule is out, and maybe one or two others schedules out for next year. But I got to wait to see what overall schedule look like, and I'm hoping to get 10 rounds in, and continue grinding.
And we're gonna have some track days at safety track.
Yeah, yeah. I know I'm
Yeah.
doing Loudon for sure, and I know I'm going to do some track days for sure. That much I do know because I want to, still I'm going to run the R6 at Loudon, and then I need to do some track days just to get some seat time on that bike for next year, so I don't come up there green on that bike.
Yeah, but yeah, did you enjoy any festivities in Daytona? I know they had like Bike Week down there, right? And
Biketoberfest,
Biketoberfest.
yeah. So,
So I've never been. I've been to Myrtle Beach, and I've been to Loudon
uh huh.
Bike Week, but never been to Biketoberfest or the
Right, right,
Daytona
right.
Bike, let
Uh,
alone the tracks.
yeah. No. You know, it's if you've been to yeah, I don't want to say what happens in Daytona stays in Daytona like Vegas, uh, but if I told you what happened, you might not believe me. It's easier to see it. Um, and whatever you think that could possibly happen because it's Biketoberfest and there's a bunch of bikers and um yeah, it's ridiculous. What I even like it was a Sunday. Man, listen, I saw this girl walking out of 7-Eleven, and all she had on was a button up shirt, and the button was open. That's all she had on. So
Yeah, I'm sure people on bikes wearing nothing, probably riding backwards, doing
you
stupid stuff. I
know,
mean,
you know,
they only show the clips of the strip,
right, right.
so.
And she was getting in a car. She was getting in a car. So and it was early. This was like 11:30, 11:30, 12. So it's still pretty early. But hanging out
It's
Saturday
a big
night,
event.
huh?
I should say it's a big event.
Yeah, I suspect she lost the bet or something like that. I just can't imagine why all you got on is this shirt. Like no drawers, no nothing, just a shirt. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So that was ridiculous to see. But even Saturday night, but it's people having fun and living vicariously through motorcycles and expressing themselves and partying and having a good time. I will say I don't know if it's every year, and I don't want to be the one that brings it down a little bit, but people get jacked up as well, and definitely saw a few people jacked up, motorcyclists jacked up. I don't know who's at fault or whatever the case may be. So that side of things is always crazy, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's alcohol. I don't know if it's lack of skill riding. Because it's one thing when you're riding with 20 of your buddies or whatever the case may be. When you're talking about, I don't know what the numbers are, but it's well over a couple of 100,000 people. It's well over. It's a lot of bikes. It's a whole different animal when you're riding with that many bikes.
Hmm.
And trying to you don't everybody's not everybody, but a lot of people are strangers, so you don't know their riding styles or anything
Yeah,
like that. So that was unfortunate to see because I saw some people stretched out on the side of the road.
that's not good. I mean, it's funny as they all came in riding on the bike, I'm sure, nice and fine and ready to party, and then I don't know. Hopefully, it wasn't alcohol to play, but with being around a lot of bikes, people act stupid.
Correct,
But
exactly. You know what I'm saying. So and I'm sure it happens in other ways. I'm not
oh
trying to
yeah.
discount it in any stretch of imagination, because I know Florida. My new home is a no helmet state, and I can't be on a bike and not have a helmet on. And I did see one dude on the road. He didn't have a helmet on, and I definitely I can't say definite, right, because nothing's definite. But I felt like if he had more riding gear on, it might have been a different story. I don't know what the outcome is or anything like that, but definitely felt like it would have been a different story with helmet on. Yeah, having a helmet on is going to help. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we all learn the hard way, but more gear, the better, I think. But you never know any situation. But I hate to see. Uh, I don't know. It's just maybe Massachusetts are bred into it with helmet laws, and no other places are too. But being surrounded by states that have no helmet law, I just
Right.
when I ride by someone with no helmet on, I'm just like, are you just going down the street, or it looks like you're just out for the day? If you're out for the day, like I feel like you should just be more cautious. But that's just my opinion. Some
No,
people
it's
like to
look,
be free.
we
So.
yeah, I have friends that I grew up with. It's funny, like one of my my good friends growing up, he rides as well, and he care less for a helmet, and I ride, and as teenagers we were both driving and acting a fool, and I'm of the mindset like I always got gear on, and he doesn't, and like. Like we're pretty much not to say the same person, but you know what I mean. Like it's interesting that the two of us ride bikes and we have different views on it. I respect the view for sure, and I get it. You know what I mean. But I like to be safe.
I get it too, but you know, when I had a freak accident, I mean, I don't want to go off topic, but I had a freak accident just a couple years ago, bringing my street bike to my storage unit.
Right.
Um, Cruising, it is November, so it is dark very early, but I'm cruising. The light turned green, and everyone jammed on their brakes. The bike tipped over, and I couldn't save it. Like when it's heavy, it tipped over. I tried to save it, but I actually fell on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and the bike fell on my foot. And I was wearing shoes, not my actual riding boots. And
Okay.
when I tell you that my foot was hurting for weeks, just on that little small incident,
Right.
I'm just like, why not wear my riding boots? Because I thought I was just going in one place. Very simple. Just drop the bike off. I was done for the year. I didn't want to bring all this extra gear, and that happened. But you never know.
You never know, and that's the biggest part. You know what I'm saying? You never know. So it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to next year. Um,
I want to go.
Day,
Definitely want to go next year.
Yeah, Daytona is an awesome place. So speaking of that, let's get into MotoGP because, man, Australia. You know,
Now I want to tell you that this week in MotoGP, it was Friday. Thursday I watched the conferences, and Friday I didn't really look at the times. Like it's like 8 o'clock, and I look at the app, and it's like live. I'm like, what live? But I watched
nice.
everything all the way through. It just felt
Okay,
good to
okay,
like watch it as like a sporting event.
right,
While you're up, you don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch it live, or if it's the case, your guys' case, you guys wake up to watch Moto 3.
right,
I kind of wake up to watch just MotoGP, and then watch the other ones later.
right. So,
But
how did you feel about them switching the race from Sunday to Saturday?
I mean, I had no idea. I looked at the app and I was like, wait, Saturday says sprint. I mean, full race. Sunday says sprint. I was like, is this wrong? So then that's when I realized they had the weather issue because I watched the practices.
Right,
But I don't know. I mean, I thought it was okay because they didn't perform the sprint on Sunday, so we kind of don't know
right.
uh, if that is a good fit to have a main event like that on a Saturday. But I kind of liked it,
So,
but
I mean,
uh,
listen, I've been to a few MotoGP races, and on Friday, not a lot of people. On
oh
Saturday,
yeah.
a little bit more people. On Sunday, it's everybody. And
Yeah.
so, like, if you bought a ticket for Sunday only, and you found out the race was happening on Saturday,
Oh, true.
right? You know what I'm saying? And like if you had work or you had things you couldn't get to or whatever for whatever reason. So
Oh man.
I think the people that purchased tickets to go to the event, granted the weather was what it is, so you might not have wanted to go anyway, but I think the people that's the only thing the people that were only planning on going Sunday only. The folks that would go the whole weekend, they got a treat because nothing happened. Well, Moto 2 and
But
Moto 3 happened on Sunday, but the sprint didn't happen. So that's the only you know I don't know what the backstory is going to be on that. As far as because there got to be some disgruntled people saying, "Hey, I didn't get to see this, and I spent a lot of money on a ticket."
mm, I don't know what Dorner's gonna do about that one. That's gonna be a tough decision. It's gonna treat it just like any other concert or event. I mean, I don't know what it says in a racing event about weather, if it's
Right.
canceled. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got stuff in the fine print, but
because it's not going to be rescheduled,
nope,
so
doesn't
like
seem
it's
like it.
it's legit. It's just I think it's just legit over. Like they're moving on. They have another race
Right.
very soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So yeah, I think those. I don't know what they're gonna do, but well, I guess we'll find out because if I assume
yeah,
people are
it's
gonna
pretty interesting.
complain and say, hey, look, I missed the main event. I've been saving to buy this ticket for 80 years, and now I'm ready to go, and it's changed. You know what I'm saying?
What,
So
what would you do?
well,
What, what,
I've always gotten tickets for all the days.
yeah, see,
So
that's that's what I would do.
you know what I'm saying?
I
But
would get. I
not
would,
everybody does that. You know what I mean? Not
I,
everybody does that.
like
Yeah.
when I went to Moto America, I got the full weekend
Yeah.
bracelet. I knew I was gonna be there for the whole thing. I didn't want to just come down for a day. So,
Right.
um, so yeah, I think the best way is just get the full weekend. And I mean, I don't think they'll do anything about that race. Maybe next year credit something.
I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea.
Yeah, I think all they can do is probably give back the money for people that bought the 1 day ticket for Sundays,
Yeah,
and I mean, again they still have Moto 2 that went on and Moto 3, so it's not like it was completely a loss. But
yeah.
you want to see the top guys.
I mean, they only also missed the sprint,
Exactly. So
but
they get nothing.
but they actually missed the Grand Prix
Yeah,
and was going to be replaced as a sprint.
and then they missed that.
And so even if they showed up on Sunday thinking they was gonna have a Grand Prix, they were gonna watch half of that. So
Right.
I don't. Would you be happy about that as well? I mean, you did see Moto 2 and Moto 3
Yeah.
if you went,
Again,
but
if I had to pass on, if I was there Saturday, I wouldn't care. If I was there Sunday only, I still might feel away. With the sprint. But like I get it, and I don't know what the precedent will be going forward because now that they've done this, right? So you know what I mean. Do they in the future, when they know it's going to be a bad weather day on Sunday, instead of waiting to see what happens, are they going to do the same thing again, right? Because on one hand, it makes sense because it's better to race than don't race.
yeah,
And the teams are already used to the sprint setup. So honestly, them converting to a full race is not that difficult, especially if they have unless it's a new track. So I mean, I think that makes more sense than putting riders in danger with weather condition or possibly canceling the race like they did on Sunday.
yeah. I mean, from what they projected, I heard like 40-mile-an-hour winds and 80-mile-an-hour wind gust or something like that, and they're legit on an like the water's right there.
Right. Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Oh no, no, that's
so
good.
I'm sure going around that I don't know what number, but like after Miller Corner, going up that sweeping left-hander, yeah, I'm sure they feel
Yeah, no, the wind is no joke.
crazy, crazy.
And you know this from riding at Loud and other
Oh,
places. Like the wind,
even on the street,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You like
like
you get moved.
push me into the other lane. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, how do I control this? You can't.
You know what I mean? So definitely when you're in full attack mode, or full go mode, yeah, that's one more thing you have to deal with. And when you're riding on the limits, it's easy to make a mistake.
Yeah, I would definitely probably ask for a refund, but I'm sure that'll probably be less than the 30% of attendees. I would say
Mm-hmm. No,
because
for
you
sure.
know I'm sure everyone from MotoGP, I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but I'm sure they attend every day.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And unless it's that just one person who's like, damn, like
Well,
my job won't let me have the day off. Like I could only go Sunday.
well,
And
here's the thing, right? Like if I was to fly in and I only bought a Sunday ticket, that
Oh,
I would be very upset. If you're a local, it
yeah,
would be one thing. But if you flew in and it's Australia, I've never been to
yeah,
Australia. I'm going to go see all of Australia, then I'm going to go because that's what I usually do. I go 2 weeks
right,
somewhere. I go see the country, and then I end it with the MotoGP weekend. You know what I'm saying?
right. That makes sense.
And like I said, I so far I've always gotten all 3 days. So it's one of those things. Like if you can only plan one MotoGP trip in your life and that's the one you pick because there's going to be people in the audience like that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
for
their
sure.
first time. They've always wanted to go to whatever the country is. In this case, it's Australia, and this is probably the only time that they're going to go see this.
That would
And
be just my luck.
no, I mean that's definitely happened. And I listen. We can go on about it and as much as I want to, but let's talk about the race itself, right? Because I'll what do you watched the race? What's your thought on it?
Um, I mean, it was just like last round. Martin took off, and I thought he was gonna hold it. I was just praying that he was just not gonna, you know, lose the front or something like that because I knew the tire choice he had, and I didn't see anything gonna be an effect or any issue. If anything of all would happen, they would catch back up on the last lap and it'd be very close.
That's what you thought.
Um, but when a tire has no grip, I don't know. I guess it's just like the time just drops. You think, all right, one sector he loses 2/10, the next sector he loses 2/10, so 3, 4 sectors he loses maybe a second. He's up 3 seconds. There's 4 laps to go. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, you know. So this might be close, but the last lap when it's dropped down from a second and a half to a second to a half a second, and then it was over.
Yeah.
And then he got bullied into the middle corner,
You
which
do
I
you?
thought it was pretty cool by Pecco to be sneaky like that, but that's just how you size somebody up.
Yeah, that I was not to go back to my race a little bit, but I was complaining about somebody. It's like that's my problem. It's like in my second race, I was stuck behind somebody, and I had opportunities to pass, and I just didn't. And I was waiting for the safer. Not even I don't know. I was wait. I should have taken it. So it's like and I say all that to say it's like you have to when you see a door, you have to go. There's no you see it, you go. You don't even think about it you know, and that it's. I think for Digin Antonio, if it was a different rider, I think that Pecco would have crashed in that instant because Digin Antonio had to check up a little bit when he did that move because he literally changed lines, right? And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. And Digin Antonio definitely had to break a little bit to let him through because they would have collided, and so he lucked out in that area. If it was a different rider, he might have crashed out. Um, and I feel bad for Martin, right? And because he's had 2 bad weekends, and in this instance, maybe he felt he had the ability to manage it. And when you talked about the 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go, he's probably was managing his tires from lap 10, right? He probably lost it.
Yep.
The probably tire was already going, but he was able to manage it a lot better. And the last couple of laps is where, like, okay, it's beyond repair. You know what I'm saying? Beyond saving. And you saw that happen. So I think, us being a skill rider like that guy is and all these MotoGP riders, they'll be able to manage the tire a lot better than we would be when they're dropping off. But at that point, it was gone. And for Zarco, which is the biggest, it's not to say a segue or anything like that, but Zarco had no choice but to do what he did. But also, I'm very happy for Zarco getting his
Oh,
first
me too.
MotoGP win and doing it in such a clean, he's a stand up guy. You know what I'm saying? And did it in such a manner in which he did. So I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for Dijan Antonio for getting on the podium because I do believe he should have a seat in MotoGP for 2024.
Me
I
too.
hope Honda signs him with a factory seat and give him a 2 year deal. I really do hope that because who else are you gonna bring in? You need somebody with experience, and you see that you're gonna bring in a retired person, or you give it to this dude. I mean, you can give it to Ika Lukuono. That's the only other person. I mean, obviously Remy Gardner. Um, that's it, right? So
Yeah.
I hope that
It's-
happens
I was gonna
because
say,
go ahead.
why does everyone who leaves a team wins a podium?
Well, he needs a job, right? So he has
No,
to.
no, no. Oh yeah, true. But Jack Miller won one last year, but before he switched to go to KTM. Mark Marquez won one just recently. Not a
No,
first place,
right,
but
right,
on
right,
the
right.
podium.
Yeah,
It seems like that every time someone switches a team, then you start recognizing them on the podium.
right.
So
Well,
was surprised to see Fabio Di Giannantonio on it. Hit considering the situation.
right. I think there's two parts. I think if you're leaving, I think if you're trying to figure out your contract for the next season, it's distracting. And I think once you figure it out, you can ride free, right?
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it. But I think in the Gin Antonio's case, he wants to stay in MotoGP, and he's it's unfortunate that he didn't figure this out a year ago. It's also unfortunate that he needed to figure it out a year ago. You see what I'm saying? It's like you know
Well, yeah,
I think certain teams ask a lot for their rookie riders and their first and second year riders. Everybody's looking for, Pedro Acosta of MotoGP, Mark Marquez, Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi, right? Everybody's looking for that guy, and these kids can't live up. They're not those guys. You know what I'm saying? They're not those
you know,
guys. And their story's different. And I've never been a team owner, so I don't even know what it's like. I can't pretend to know what that's like. But I do know it does a disservice to sport when you see guys are fabulous in Moto 3, fabulous in Moto 2, and then they out of Moto GP in a year and a half.
yep.
You know.
I mean, well, I mean, like I said, Pedro Costa. I'm not picking on him; he deserves a seat.
Oh,
But
he
I just
does. He
hope
does.
that I just don't. I know it's gonna take a learning period, and him being with KTM, like knowing what KTM does with their riders, just don't want to see that. But yeah, like Fabio is definitely coming into his own. Thank God we have what 9 or 8 races left or something like that. 10,
Yeah, I think
10
so.
races.
Yeah, I think so.
So we still got a good third of a season left for him to still do pretty well. And then as far as Martin, I thought he did impeccable. I thought it was more of like a management situation, like the team was fully behind that strategy. I think he rode probably the best way you could on that possible tire.
He
I
did.
just really don't understand how that happened the last lap, which is so unfortunate.
Y- y-
And him being up a couple seconds throughout the race, I always thought they're slowing down just slightly, but I think that would be more detrimental. I don't know.
I will say this: Martin is where Pecco was last year.
Right. I believe
Um,
that. I agree.
it's a lack of experience, and it's tough, right? Because when you got go time on your mind, it's really hard to measure that in that moment. And I I will say this about Martin, right? And I feel this way about everybody, right? Um, don't brag, right? Don't brag because that can come back to bite you. Be humble
Quick.
and just do right. And I don't know if it was the turtle in the hair situation where he was felt cocky enough that he can run away from everybody in that situation and not manage the tie and not pick a different choice where a lot of other riders picked a lot of different choice. Um, and this is the second time in the it's 2 weekends in a row. First one he crashed out trying to smash everybody. Right. I'm just gonna stretch y'all out. Crashed. This time he wore the tire out. Didn't crash. So and maybe next time he'll get it right. You know what I'm saying? And so that is something he has to go through. Obviously, they're probably smarter people than me that's telling him that already. But don't talk trash. Just ride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be. You don't need to sit here. You hear these stories of Michael Jordan players and people who would talk trash to Michael Jordan like preseason or talk trash to him, and then now you woke him up and it's a different beast. You know,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't, you know, in MotoGP, like you can't in motorcycle racing, it's really hard to come in and bully another rider. You know what I'm saying? It's really like, come on, like, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of talent. You know what I'm saying? You look at Daytona, you look at Loudon, you look at these club racing, and you look at the level. There's a lot of talented riders. You can't just sit here and think like you're just gonna go smash everybody every time. You know what I'm
Hey
saying?
man, he's dragging his shoulder, taking off
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
sponsorships.
You, you
So
you know what I'm
you know,
saying? And so, I'm not saying that that's what caused it, but if you focus on the job, you don't have to talk trash. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
You don't
I
you
mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's just like the highlights is like you said, the experience. Um, like Pecco's gone through this. I'm sure everyone who's fought for a championship has gone through this.
Yes.
It's just the experience. He does have the, like I said, the party side to him, and I think the media is just trying to expose it. I don't think he's talking trash, but it's just how
Mhm.
it seems to be coming off. But I really think that at this moment he should try to be more humble. I'm afraid to talk trash. I have no right to. I remember my first day on the track, I got humbled right away.
You're right, right.
And I just catch myself calling somebody slow. I'm just like, I've been slow. I'm still slow. I can never do that. I always can, try to just someone being out there, just respecting it, basically.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the biggest part about it. But, you know what the crazy part about this thing is, it's all Ducati. You know what I'm saying? That is the crazy
Brad,
part. Yeah,
Brad Pitt is fighting with them.
yeah, yeah. And
That's fine.
and Ducati factory wants factory on the block. You know that, right? So, is it's interesting to see when the camera pans to the folks in the box, regardless if it's Pramac or the factory. It's they're definitely rooting for Pecco.
I mean, he he deserves it again. I mean,
Well,
I like to
you
see
gotta
new
earn it.
winners,
You gotta
but
you gotta earn
you
it.
gotta.
You gotta earn it,
Oh,
right?
he's going through that
But
earnest stage right
but
now.
did
Uh,
did I? It seems like they get a lot more excited when he win than when Martin
oh yeah,
win, and
yeah.
and
It's the factory.
and I know
It's that.
Martin has a bone to pick because he didn't get the factory seat over Bastianini, but Bastianini
Yep.
was a more consistent rider until he got hurt. And probably Martin is. They know. Listen, if Bastianini can't hold on to his factory seat for 24 at the end of 24, it's between
Yeah.
Bez and it's between Martin.
Oh, Martin's on his way for a championship. I mean, he's showing it. I mean, I'm sure any rider can, if they're on the right bike and feel really good, they can fight for a title. But where the bike set up with Martin and his mentality, he's on the way. He's
Yeah.
going through those stages again, where like you said, being on top, but not to do that again. To whatever he was saying, being a little on the cockier side, um, but yeah, I think he's on the way soon enough.
Soon enough.
Soon enough.
All right. Well, we gotta stay
Soon
tuned. When is
enough.
when and where's the next round? I don't even know.
Uh, um, let's see. I got the app up here. So yeah, I got while we're bringing this up, looks like we're gonna be Valencia.
Okay.
No, that's
No,
wrong.
that's
No,
the
no,
end. No,
that's
that's
that's that's that's wrong. That just popped up. Let me
That
upcoming.
that's end of the month.
Yeah, that's I'm way off. So what's the date's gonna be? We're gonna be in Thailand,
All right,
27th.
all right.
We just came from Australia.
So this weekend,
So yeah, back to back to back races. I love it. I got
yeah.
a question. So I was jumping up in my seat, watching MotoGP live practice. No, actually, it wasn't practice. It was qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, Pecco got into a little trouble where he ended himself in Q1.
Right.
Um, and who else was in Q1 but the guy Mark Marquez.
Yep.
But I don't know if you saw the scene where when it's like 4 minutes left and they're really ready to go out
And they're
and
waiting
give him
on
their
him.
all. Oh, they were all waiting on him. And it was just like a pause. They were like, when you go to like a bike event where you have to like hold the clutch and pull, you try to stay up as long as you can
Yeah.
without putting your foot down. That's what it looked like. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, where's Mark? I know he's coming. And then he just snuck in out of nowhere. He got behind Pecco, and they did there.
Yeah. I have to say I
And then
don't.
you see him try to shake him.
Yeah.
You
No.
saw him try to shake
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And he
I
was
listen.
like, nope, I'm follow you through the pit. I mean, the long lap penalty and everything.
Right. So
I'll just be so irritated.
yeah, yeah. No, the long and short is you're a professional, and Pecco should just ride, right? Because
Yeah, that is.
we know that Mark is going to do this. We know other riders are going to do this. You did, Pecco already know he's not going to stop from last year, right? So it's not even like he got to sit here and be like, "Oh, bro, what's going on?" You already know he's not going to do it. So like that, you're just messing yourself up doing that. Just go out there and
Well, he
ride.
really did.
And it sucks because Marquez has gotten to the Q2 doing that and have a good starting position doing that. And unless MotoGP decides to change that, that's going to happen. And it,
Well,
it is what it
if you're
is. Because
if you're fighting,
the thing is this. The Ducati's a better bike than the Honda is. So let them try because they're going to crash out. You know what I'm saying? They're going to crash out. Let them try.
but you said he usually gets the upper hand in that situation most of the time.
Most of the times.
So with you going out there, wouldn't you be sick of being that guinea pig? I know it's just mentally hard to get out of your head that, like
It
you
is.
said, that's
Vinales.
another.
It happened to Vinales.
Yeah,
It happened to Miller. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's happened to other riders. So it's definitely. But what are you gonna do? I
I
mean,
mean,
look,
that's his technique. So
honestly, who could bully Mark Marquez in MotoGP right now?
yeah, why don't they follow him like that?
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna bully Mark Marquez, so he's gonna do what he wants to do. And I mean, look, the only like Mark Marquez is Mark Marquez, Valentino Rossi, Agostini, right? Really, like so, like just go out there and ride. And I don't
Yeah.
like that Marquez is doing that. And trust me, next year Marquez is not going to do that on the Ducati. He's not going to need to follow anybody. So,
Oh,
so
he's gonna do that next year on Ducati. That's just one of his
no.
patent.
He's not going to do like that. That bike is going to do what that bike does. I don't know if Ducati can sustain the quality bike they've had in the last 4 years. Right, I think the 19, was probably where it started. 20 didn't. No one. I don't think no one really got 20 and 20, 21, 22, 23. So I think Marquez on a 2023 bike that Martin and Pecco's riding right now, he's not going to follow anybody next year.
Yeah,
So
I think in practice maybe here and there, but you're right. I think he'll try to figure it out,
because
and
it's going to have
someone
the
will be
power.
following
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah. It's going to have the power. It's going to have the traction he wants. It's going to turn the way not necessarily the way he wants, but it's going to turn better than the Honda. And it, the Ducati has shown that. I'm a fan of Ducati, but I hope it lasts for a long time. Next year, racing is going to be, I don't know what KTM and Aprilia is going to do next year because if there's not KTM Aprilia it's gonna be Ducati 1 through 8 because
Oh yeah.
that's how it's gonna be next year. And the
Oh
weakest
man.
link is I don't mean to throw Luca under the bus, but he's probably gonna be the weakest link for next year.
I think he's a little hurt, but I think you're right. But I think him having Rossi as a brother,
Well, he's gonna
I don't
stay
know.
he's gonna stay in MotoGP because of that. But
Yeah,
but
true.
you think it's either gonna be him or Alex Rins, not Alex Rins, Alex Marquez, right? And they're gonna be the two weakest link, right, in MotoGP because Bez has already shown, Pecco's already shown, Morbidelli's already shown, Marquez has already shown, Martin, what I'm saying, these guys have already shown. So it's really gonna be between, what I'm saying, and not to say Marini hasn't or Alex hasn't, but you know, at a high competition, stats wise, they're probably the two weakest guys going to be on Ducati for next year, and they're really strong. So I'm not knocking them, but
Are, will they be getting newer bikes? Aren't they? No.
yeah, yeah,
Wait.
yeah,
Are
yeah, yeah,
they?
yeah. They're gonna get
Yeah.
they'll get the 23s. So four teams will
So
get the 23s, and well, there's only
you
four
know,
teams, but four riders will get the 23, and four riders will get the 24, whatever that looks like. So in theory, the
man,
24 bikes, those guys are gonna struggle to get those bikes up to speed like Bezecchi and these
like
guys did
technically
at the
last
at,
year.
at the beginning of this year. You know what I'm saying? And the beginning of
Yeah.
last year too, right? So
Sure.
yeah, so that's the thing that's crazy, man. I'm looking forward to this weekend and the rest of the week with
Oh, me too.
MotoGP. For those guys and gals that are off from riding, do your bike stuff, do you get yourself ready for next season, get your exercise on, all that wonderful stuff because we got a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to do, man.
Oh yeah. I am ready for this weekend. Shout out to your Moto 3 rider Dennis Anchu for
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
Moto 3. And I'm still rooting for my boy Aaron Canet to get a podium in Moto
Oh
2.
man, listen,
But
Aaron, Aaron, Aaron,
we'll
Aaron
see what happens
yeah,
this weekend.
Aaron Canet is the Zarco of
Oh,
Moto 2, and
I
hopefully after
agree.
Zarco he'll see and get that. And it's listen,
I
man,
agree.
yeah. So I think Aaron Canet, and I can go on and on, but I think he might have been disgruntled a little bit for not getting that MotoGP ride, knowing he deserved it and knowing he didn't get it because he had tattoos. You know what I'm saying? That's
So
huh?
I was saying that's just I don't know.
Yeah, so
You
I think
can't even see him really, but
yeah that I think that's part of it. But yeah, I hope he gets one because he's a very talented writer.
I mean, I'm not a big tattoo type person. I mean, I have a tattoo, but I thought it was pretty cool seeing the tattoos and him riding. I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah, and the same here. Likewise here. Likewise here, man. All right, man. It was nice to rap with you. My name is Rex 45.
Oh yeah. All right, my name is TJ with two L's and coffee.
Peace.
Peace out.